The hidden law of success that few discover is not hidden in secret vaults, nor in books under lock and key, but within the mind of every human being. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to attract opportunity, prosperity, and respect as if the whole world is conspiring in their favor, while others struggle for years on end and never get out of place? What separates someone who achieves true success from one who just survives? This question, which seems simple, is the starting point for diving into a knowledge that Napoleon Hill deciphered in his research on the greatest men and women of his time. Success is not an accident, it is not luck, and much less something reserved for a chosen few. There is an invisible, silent, and powerful law that governs the way human beings deal with the mind, money, and their own destiny. Discovering this law is like finding the key that unlocks the door to a new world, a world in which you cease to be a victim of circumstance and become a conscious creator of your own reality. Get ready, because what you'll learn here can forever transform the way you see life, work, and the power of your mind. Many look for quick formulas to get rich, but the truth is that no external technique works if the mind is not first prepared to receive and multiply what the world offers. Napoleon Hill spent more than 20 years studying men like Henry Ford, Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, and so many other giants who came out of nowhere and built empires. He noticed a pattern, something that was repeated almost magically. Everyone was aware that success is born first in the mind before manifesting itself in the pocket, in the status, or in the achievements. This does not mean just thinking positive, as many superficially believe. It means understanding that thoughts are living forces, endowed with real energy, capable of attracting circumstances compatible with their nature. That is why those who live in constant mental scarcity, always believing that they can't, that they don't deserve it, or that the world is unfair, end up experiencing exactly this kind of life in practice. The occult law of success reveals itself when we understand that the mind is like a magnet. It can be programmed to attract prosperity, opportunities, and valuable connections, or it can be left to chance, attracting only problems, debts, and frustrations. It all starts with the way you talk to yourself, the silent dialogues you carry every day. Think for a moment. When you look in the mirror, do you see yourself as capable, worthy of respect, and ready to win, or as someone limited, small, destined to repeat the mistakes of the past? The answer to this question shows where you are on the scale of personal and financial evolution. Most people don't even realize that they are stuck in inherited thought patterns, old beliefs that have been repeated so many times that they have become inner truths. But the law of success acts neutrally. If you deeply believe that you will never prosper, it just obeys, bringing experiences that confirm that belief. If, on the other hand, you learn to reprogram your mind, the law starts to work in your favor, opening doors that previously seemed impossible to cross. What makes some stand out and become references of success is not just talent or physical effort, but the ability to direct mental energy towards clear and consistent goals. Napoleon Hill called this the definiteness of purpose, that is, the exact definition of a purpose. Without this clarity, life becomes a boat adrift, going where the wind pushes. The person even works hard, but does not build anything solid, because the energy is dispersed in various directions. The occult law of success requires that you know exactly what you want, that you impress on your mind that desire as if it were an irrevocable order. It is as if the mind were fertile soil. If you plant seeds of doubt, you will reap indecision. If you plant seeds of purpose and certainty, you will reap concrete results. This is one of the most powerful points that differentiates the few who discover the law from the many who go through life without ever understanding why they fail repeatedly. But there is still a fundamental detail that transforms simple desire into fulfilling power: the emotion you put in your thought. Hill insisted that ardent desire is the starting point of all achievements. It is not enough to want lukewarm or timid. It is necessary to transform desire into flame, into a force so intense that the mind can no longer reconcile itself to living in mediocrity. This state of mind creates a vibration that attracts similar circumstances. The right people start to appear, ideas emerge, doors open. In the eyes of skeptics, this may seem like a coincidence, but those who have tried it know that it is the law at work. Life responds at the same frequency as you think and feel. Imagine for a moment someone who decides that they will achieve financial independence in 5 years. If this decision is born only as a fragile thought, without conviction, it will be swallowed up by routine. But if it is born as an unwavering determination, fed every day with mental images, affirmations, and coherent actions, the mind begins to work in the background, looking for opportunities, creating solutions, and even generating courage to face obstacles. Such a person, without realizing it, sets himself in motion toward the goal, and the occult law begins to act, aligning external circumstances with internal force. This is the secret that so many ignore. The external world is only a reflection of the internal. Whoever discovers this awakens to a level of power that few dare to experience. Another essential point that Napoleon Hill revealed is the power of the word. Not just the word spoken to others, but the silent word that echoes within you. Every time you mentally repeat, "I can't," "I'm not lucky," "it won't work out," you're actually programming your mind to fail. The occult law does not make moral judgments. It does not distinguish whether you are joking or serious. It just executes. Therefore, people who cultivate persuasive, positive, and visionary speech end up attracting exactly the kind of reality they describe. It's as if life were an obedient mirror, reflecting back what you project. And this is perhaps the hardest part for those who are trapped in the scarcity mentality, learning to watch one's own language, replacing phrases of defeat with affirmations of victory, until the mind is convinced that prosperity is inevitable. Now think about something practical. How does this apply to money? Most people view money with fear or resentment. They think that it is difficult to conquer, that it is always lacking, that only a privileged few can accumulate. This belief limits any possibility of financial evolution. Hill taught that money is just an idea, an energy that flows in the direction of those who know how to deal with it without fear. When you change your relationship with money, stopping treating it as an enemy and starting to see it as an ally that can be multiplied, the law begins to open ways for you to attract more. This doesn't mean that money will fall from the sky, but that your mind will see opportunities that previously went unnoticed. The brain, when programmed to thrive, becomes a machine for identifying solutions and businesses that previously seemed invisible. This is the first revelation that few understand. The occult law of success is not an external trick, but an internal reprogramming. Those who learn to apply it begin to notice subtle changes in the way they think, speak, and act. What once seemed difficult becomes natural. What once seemed unattainable is approaching as something possible. And, step by step, life is transformed into a reflection of a new mental pattern. The big question is, are you willing to let go of old thoughts of scarcity and adopt the mental discipline necessary to attract success? Because the law is always working. The choice is whether you will let it act against you or if you will learn to put it in your favor. The great transformation happens when you realize that success is not a finish line, but a constant state of mind. People who have discovered the hidden law of success don't just live to achieve an isolated goal, such as buying a house, paying off debt, or gaining recognition. They understand that the real power lies in becoming someone who naturally generates prosperity, someone whose mind is capable of turning any situation into an opportunity. This difference in mentality explains why some, even after achieving something big, continue to grow, while others, when they win the lottery or receive an inheritance, lose everything in a few years. The first group figured out how to align thought, emotion, and action. The second has only received something without having developed the necessary consciousness to maintain it. Napoleon Hill observed, in his interviews with millionaires of his day, that they all had an almost unshakable confidence in themselves. It was not arrogance, but an inner certainty built up over years of mental discipline. They repeated to themselves, daily, that they were capable, that they deserved it, and that they would accomplish. Over time, this conviction shaped reality. That is why Hill said that what the human mind can conceive and believe, it can accomplish. This phrase, which many repeat without understanding, is actually the summary of the occult law. To conceive is to imagine, visualize, create mentally. To believe is to engrave in the mind as absolute truth, and achievement is the inevitable result of this process. The problem is that most people conceive grandiose ideas, but they don't really believe in them. They get stuck in doubt, in the oscillation between faith and disbelief, and end up paralyzed. The faith Hill speaks of is not religious, but psychological. It is the deep conviction that what you want is already real in potential, and that it is up to you just to walk to the point where it becomes tangible. This faith, fueled by mental imagery and strong emotions, creates a magnetic energy that attracts the necessary circumstances. It's as if you send a request to the universe and it responds, not because there is magic, but because your mind starts to work in line with the goal. You begin to notice details, to perceive opportunities, and to connect with people who share the same vibe. To the common eye, it looks like luck. But those who know the law know that there is no chance in this process. One of the biggest pitfalls that stand in the way of success is the victim mentality. Those who live complaining about circumstances, the government, family, or the lack of opportunities are, without realizing it, strengthening their own failure. The occult law does not understand justifications, it responds to what you transmit. If you vibrate at the frequency of scarcity, it is scarcity that you will receive. Hill called this negative autosuggestion. We all use autosuggestion on a daily basis, but few do it consciously. When you repeat, "I can't," you're hypnotizing yourself to fail. When he repeats, "I can do it," he is reprogramming himself to win. It's simple yet powerful. The greats Hill studied knew this and constantly practiced positive autosuggestion, creating in themselves a mindset shielded from doubt and defeat. Another outstanding characteristic is emotional discipline. Many believe that intelligence and talent are enough, but the truth is that those who do not control their emotions hardly achieve stability. How many people have you seen who miss out on great opportunities because they explode in anger, make rash decisions out of fear, or give up too soon because of anxiety? Occult law requires self-control. One must learn to remain calm in the face of difficulties, to persist when everything seems to conspire against them, and to keep the faith even when there are no visible signs of progress. This emotional resilience is what differentiates those who win from those who give up. Hill pointed out that all the great entrepreneurs he studied faced failures, but none of them allowed those failures to become final. Each fall was treated as a learning experience, and each obstacle as an opportunity to grow. In the financial world, this discipline translates into knowing how to handle money without being a slave to it. Many believe that prosperity means only accumulating, but Hill showed that the most successful did not think only about getting rich, but about creating value. They understood that money is a consequence of serving better, of solving problems, of adding something real to the world. This mindset creates a healthy relationship with prosperity because the focus is not on the fear of missing out, but on the confidence to generate more. Occult law works best when the desire to prosper is accompanied by the desire to contribute. It's as if life rewards those who don't just think about themselves, but how their success can positively impact others. A fascinating point of the law of success is the so-called mastermind, a concept introduced by Hill. He realized that no great leader or entrepreneur grew alone. They all created alliances, partnerships, and support circles with like-minded people. This group of aligned minds creates a collective energy that enhances individual outcomes. It is as if each mind were a battery, and together they formed a power plant. This is one of the practical ways to accelerate the effect of the law. Surround yourself with people who vibrate at the same frequency of growth, who believe in success, and who stimulate evolution. Unfortunately, many people do the opposite. They surround themselves with negative people who criticize, demotivate, and pull them down. In this environment, even the strongest mind ends up drained. That's why Hill recommended choosing companies carefully and, whenever possible, creating a support group focused on growth. You may be wondering how to apply this in practice, in your daily life. The first step is to clearly define what you want. Write, visualize, repeat out loud. Create mental images so sharp that your mind can't ignore it. Then, feed that desire with emotion. Feel as if it were already real, thank in advance, live mentally in the state of those who have already conquered. Then, align your actions with that state. It is no use wanting prosperity and acting with laziness, indecision, or fear. The law responds to the coherence between thought, emotion, and action. And finally, persevere. Many give up just when they were just a few steps away from the result. Hill said that most people give up 3 feet from the gold, that is, they stop digging when they were about to find the mine. The hidden law rewards those who persist beyond the initial resistance. Of course, on the way, doubts, fears, and even mockery will arise from those who do not believe. But it is precisely in these moments that faith and discipline become powerful weapons. Those who discover the law learn to use criticism as fuel, failures as lessons, and delays as training. Nothing is wasted, because each experience strengthens the mind and prepares you for greater achievements. This mindset creates a kind of shield against life's ups and downs. While most despair in the face of difficulties, those who apply the law see in them opportunities to expand their inner strength. The most important point is to understand that true success is not just material wealth. It is a balance between financial prosperity, personal fulfillment, and positive impact on the world. When you grow in a holistic way, you not only accumulate money, but you build a legacy, influence people, and inspire generations. This is the true discovery of the law. It does not only serve to enrich oneself, but to evolve as a human being. And in the process, financial prosperity becomes inevitable because it is just one of the outward expressions of a mind that has learned to vibrate in abundance. If you look around, you will clearly see who has already discovered this law and who still lives outside of it. Those who discovered it are not necessarily the smartest, nor the luckiest. These are ordinary people who have decided to take control of their minds, cultivate burning desires, align emotions, and persist in their goals. This simple decision set them on a path of continued prosperity. Those who ignore the law, on the other hand, live trapped in cycles of frustration, believing that success belongs only to a privileged minority. But the truth is that the law is available to everyone. What sets the few who discover it apart is the willingness to consciously apply the principles, day after day, until the whole life is transformed. In the end, the hidden law of success that few discover is not a secret trick, nor a power reserved for geniuses or chosen ones. It is present in every thought, in every emotion, and in every decision we make daily. The difference between those who prosper and those who remain stuck in cycles of difficulty is not in luck, but in the way each one chooses to use this law. What you feed in your mind grows. If you cultivate fears, limitations, and doubts, you will reap failures, delays, and frustrations. But if you cultivate faith, purpose, and discipline, you will inevitably reap achievements, prosperity, and personal evolution. Life does not fail to give back what you offer it. Napoleon Hill dedicated his life to studying people who built empires from scratch. What they found in common among all of them was not luck or coincidence, but the conscious application of this invisible law. People who dared to think big when the world said it was impossible, who persisted when everyone else had given up, who believed in themselves when no one else did. The result was the creation of legacies that crossed generations. The message that remains is clear. It doesn't matter where you come from, what matters is where you decide to direct your mind. And you, are you willing to take on this power? Are you ready to watch your thoughts, discipline your words, and persist in your goals until reality bends to your conviction? The law is there, running quietly, ready to respond to what you send. It's up to you to decide whether you'll keep repeating patterns of scarcity or finally make the leap to living in abundance. Success is not a distant prize. It is the natural reflection of a mind that has learned to vibrate at the frequency of prosperity. Let this be the moment when you awaken to that truth. That you not only understand intellectually, but that you start practicing daily, with small changes that, added together, will transform your life completely. Because the world doesn't need more people stuck in mediocrity, it needs men and women who discover the hidden law of success and become living examples that it is possible to evolve, prosper, and leave positive marks on the way. The invitation is made, the decision is yours.